الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله بعث بالدين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Ra'd, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. The meaning of this part of the ayah, as we've reflected on before, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not change a group of people till they change themselves. Subhanallah. Allah does not change people till they change themselves. And we look at the ayah here, it stressed themselves. It didn't say change others. It didn't say change their leaders or management or whatever. It is themselves. And yet we as Muslims, we complain about our situation, and rather than go and find a solution in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says change yourself, we try to find solutions otherwhere. And I'll share with you some of the discussions I had in the last few weeks with some of the Muslims, how they see to fix the situation. One Muslim brother, or he says he's a Muslim brother, he says the problem is the way we raise our children. The way we raise our children, we tell them Islam is the best and you should be a Muslim. What we should teach our children, he says, grow up in anything. Accept all religions, and when you grow up, choose whatever you want religion. Because they're all good religions and all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I asked him, brother, why do you say this? He says, well, look at our situation as Muslims and look at our problems. It is because we hold on to Islam and we follow Islam, that's the reason of our problem. He's saying that we should be good for the sake of being good, but follow any religion, anything. I told him, well, they tried to do this with communism, where they said, brought all the children and you grow without a religion, and it didn't work. He said, yes, it didn't work because they didn't put the greed factor in it, but if they put the greed factor, it would work. Subhanallah. This is a Muslim brother reflecting on things, and he decided our problem as Muslims is Islam, and we should let our children grow, and when they reach puberty, they decide for themselves what they want to do. This is one Muslim discussing. Another Muslim sister says, well, again, the problem is we're being very strict. We ask people to pray, we ask people to wear al-hijab and. Why, sister? She says, because Islam is in the hearts. And if we follow our hearts, we'll be fine, but leave everything else. Subhanallah. And again, why, sister? Because we've made Islam, she says, we've made Islam very rigid, that it's hard for people to practice. Subhanallah. And of course, the majority of us says Islam is great, but it is our governments. It's the biggest thing we hang all our problems on. It's these bad people who govern us. We are all good. Everybody in his mind, we are good, but subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only chose the bad to govern us, rather than realizing يُوَلِّ عَلَيْكُمْ وَاحِدٍ مِّنْكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appoints one of us. So they are us. And the moment we understand that they are us and they are one of us, then we have to change ourselves. And when we change ourselves, it doesn't matter who becomes the leader, then things will improve. But subhanallah, this is the greatest thing for us, is to blame others. And of course, some say the problem is Islamic fundamentalist. And then when you ask him, define Islamic fundamentalist, it's those people with beards and whatnot, rather than try to say that we misunderstand Islam. And then a lot of us says our problem is there is no strict laws. If we had strict laws to follow and somebody punishing us for the laws, we'll be all fine. And we discussed last week where Sheikh Umar Abdul Kafi said, you find one of us under the sign of no smoking, smoking. And yet the same person, when he's fasting in Ramadan all by himself, he doesn't smoke. Why? Because taqwa Allah. So here it's not that we need strict laws. We need to understand taqwa Allah and follow the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only then will we improve. So if we want to improve, we have to change ourselves. Start with ourselves and our family, rather than every excuse. And we find everybody's trying to analyze what's the problem. And nobody ever says, I am the problem myself. It is me. If we understand that the problem starts with each one of us, Only then we'll be on the right track. And I share with you something that we shared before. SubhanAllah, it's about 4 years now, time flies. It's called ladder of self-responsibility and accountability. It's a ladder of how do we make ourselves responsible and accountable. And it divides us humans into two parts, victims and accountable people. Most of us like to believe we're victims and sleep at night we're victimized. But it says the achievers make themselves accountable and go and make things happen. So at the bottom of the ladder is people who's unaware and unconscious. They don't know what's going around them. SubhanAllah. What's going around them, they don't care and they don't know, and it doesn't matter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described these people in the Quran when He said, مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ حُمِّلُوا التَّوْرَاةَ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَحْمِلُوهَا كَمَثَلِ الْحِمَارِ يَحْمِلُ أَسْفَارًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave an example for those who was given the Torah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the Torah that has the answers and explanation of everything, just like the Quran. It was a book that was given to Musa alayhi salam, and it has answers to everything. But those who carried the Torah, ثُمَّ لَمْ يَحْمِلُوهَا, and then they didn't carry it, they didn't execute it, they didn't obey it, they didn't follow it. They had this great book, but they used it to اشتري بآيات الله ثمنا قليلا, to make money and whatever, but they didn't follow the book. كَمَثَلِ الْحِمَارِ يَحْمِلْ أَسْفَارًا. Just like a mule or a donkey who carries a treasure on his back, but it doesn't matter to him what he carries. It doesn't mean anything. So those who carry the book of Allah, then they did not carry it and they did not follow it, just like an animal who's just carrying things, subhanallah. And how many of us carry the Mus'haf and we don't know what it tells us? How many of us are like these mules and donkeys who don't know what's in this Mus'haf? What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us in this great book? ثُمَّ لَمْ يَحْمِلُوهَا. And those who reads for the sawab and don't care what the word of Allah is, subhanallah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it just like a mule or a donkey. He has this great treasure on his back, but it doesn't matter what it is. These are the people that's unaware and unconscious, don't know what they have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this treasure, but we don't know and we don't follow. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَجْعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ وَالنَّهَارَ آيَتَيْنِ فَمَحَوْنَا آيَةَ اللَّيْلِ وَجْعَلْنَا آيَةَ النَّهَارِ مُبْصِرَةً لِتَبْتَغُوا فَضْلًا مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَلِتَعْلَمُوا عَدَدَ السِّنِينَ وَالْحِسَابِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the day and night, and then made the night dark and made the day the light. Why? لِتَبْتَغُوا فَضْلًا مِّن رَبِّكُمْ, to seek the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here we have to go out and seek things. But those who are unaware and unconscious tell us we'll sleep at home, and says this is tawakkul, sleep at home and do nothing, rather than say تَبْتَغُوا فَضْلًا مِّن رَبِّكُمْ, go and seek it. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says after Salatul Jum'ah, فَإِذَا قُضِيَتِ الصَّلَاةُ فَانْتَشِرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَابْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ. Once the prayer is finished, go out and ask Allah for His bounty. SubhanAllah, this is what it is. So we leave our work for the Friday prayers, but after the prayer we go out and seek Allah's bounty. And that's why some of the scholars say that after the prayer is one of the time where the risk is abundance, because this ayah says, go out after the prayer and seek the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here it doesn't say sleep at home and eat and expect others. So these are the people that are unaware and unconscious. And the next stage, those who think they are aware, is blame others, our favorite. Most of us as Muslims blame others as our favorite hanger. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقَالُوا رَبَّنَا إِنَّا أَطَعْنَا سَادَتْنَا وَكُبَرَاءَنَا فَأَضَلُّونَا السَّبِيلِ. It says that in the day of judgment, people say we followed our master and our leaders and they misguided us. And then they ask Allah to double the punishment for these masters who misguided us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the punishment will be double for all, but they do not know. Subhanallah. Why? Because they blamed others. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, after blaming others, as I said, where we, as this is our favorite, it's always the government, always the bad people, always the bad leaders. Everything else, that's our favorite topic, rather than blame ourselves and say, what have we done? And then the next one is excuses, those who has excuses. So you ask him, brother, what did you do? What have you achieved? What have you contributed? They have excuses. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks, in the Quran where he says, الَّذِينَ تَتَوَفَّاهُمْ مَلَائِكَةٌ ظَالِمِي أَنفُسِهِمْ قَالُوا فِيمَ كُنتُمْ